That doesn't affect you or I, unless you're a compulsive gambler or sports fan, in which case you need to reevaluate your life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is just absolutely insane to me. And like you were saying, you're cutting together some video now. You show people Ben Bernanke, who is the head of the Federal Reserve right now, the Federal Reserve's chairman, and you show people Thomas Jefferson, a man whose ideals are carried by patriots to this very day, and it's like, duh.
Yeah, people are like, I don't know who that is. You know, I show them Ben Bernanke, and they're like, well, is that the new secretary of something? Or is that the new governor? Is that the blind governor of New York? I'm like, what are you talking about? No, that's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And then we ask them, did you know that the Federal Reserve was a private bank? And they're like, no.
My head hurts. Well, you know what? I got this article in front of me. I haven't gone over it yet. Court, tuna companies don't have to warn of mercury dangers. They lost this suit. There were state voters that said these consumer laws passed in 1986 where they were actually supposed to say, hey, if you've got a whole bunch of mercury in the tuna, you need to tell us. And they won. But now in 2004, you know, they still haven't implemented it 18 years later. And the judge just said, nah, don't worry about it. You know what? Mercury's good in the tuna. We're going to just overrule it. Get out of here. So you see, sometimes when we have victories, even small ones, Luke, they don't even let us win. They put the story out. They say they're going to change it. It's like when they said, oh, we're going to take the thimerosal out of the vaccinations. And all they did was give you a choice. If you said, hey, I'm not going to take the vaccination with thimerosal, they could special order a little bit, and then they would give you a shot like a week later. It's absolute ludicrous behavior. I mean, we need to grow up. We don't need to take shots with SV40, with bird flu, with mercury in them. Okay, we don't need to eat high fructose corn syrup that we find out half of it contains mercury. I mean, did you read that story? That's craziness.
You mean high fructose corn syrup in with mercury and Florida? Was mercury and Florida in there?
I think so. I know it was definitely mercury. It was out of the Washington Post. They basically said half of the samples that they tested had high levels of mercury in it.
No surprise.
Yeah, not a shock. I mean, not like the high fructose corn syrup isn't bad enough. It doesn't already create diabetes, isn't terrible for you. And then I have to watch these ads where, you know, the mom is watching their children eat a popsicle. And she's like, doesn't that have a high fructose corn syrup in it? You're feeding your children that? And she's like, yeah? What are you, a conspiracy theorist? What's wrong with high fructose corn syrup? And the lady, all of a sudden, she doesn't know. She's like, I'm an idiot. And she's like, that's right. It's made of corn.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I saw those stupid commercials. I started pulling my hair out when I saw that. I was like, what? It's ridiculous. I mean, I think one thing we have to do is we really need to get educated, but at the same time, we have to get organized. We can't, we have to, I mean, we have so much power as individuals, and when we come together, our power magnifies. And we all agree on the same things. We don't want to be poisoned. We don't want mercury in our food. We don't want poison in our food that hurts us. We have to get smart, and we should start something like a coalition of, products that we boycott. Because even if we don't have to go out on the street and protest. We could have an economic boycott and not buy any of the hazardous chemicals and foods that they're feeding us. And we could actually make a huge thing where we could, put out their information, educate people at the same time, and make a boycott of, an example, anything that has high fructose corn syrup in it, or the tuna company that you were just talking about with the mercury in the tuna. We have power as individuals. We have to understand that, and we have to start using that as a collective body of people and really getting organized. And we could do anything we want. I mean, we could put these companies out of business, with bad PR and not buying their crap.
Well, I hope that we can stand up against this tyranny, because when you look at it, it's like, it's Tri-Union Seafoods, it's Chicken of the Sea, it's Del Monte, maker of Starkist, it's Bumblebee Seafoods. It's all the main corporations. It's all the companies that you're actually paying more for, for that brand name. And that obviously there's high fructose corn syrup in Pepsi and Coke, and the new Pepsi logo piggybacks on Obama. Yeah, piggybacks on Obama's success, and it's hope we can drink down or some kind of ridiculous slogan. We really have just been so brainwashed, and people still just aren't getting it. You know why? Because they don't have the war in the news as much, Luke. They're actually trying to play down what's happening in Iraq so they can redistribute forces into Afghanistan, so they can bring more NATO forces into the Middle East, so they can demonize Pakistan further. I mean, this is all happening right in front of our eyes. And they have openly admitted that they're going to have troops there until in Iraq, combat troops, not like any troops there aren't combat troops, until the end of 2011. And then there's still going to be 50,000 troops even when they start their drawdown. So then they're going to hype up again in another election year that they're going to get out of Iraq. They're never leaving. They want a Eurasian Union. That doesn't mean they get to leave. That means they get to stick around for as long as they need to create their big Eurasian Union in the Middle East so they can control yet another chunk of the world and bring about global government, and it sickens me.
It's all in the CFR documents. You just have to read them. I mean, why would they build permanent bases if they're not planning on staying? Of course they're going to be staying. That was the plan all along. We have army bases all over the world. Our empire is literally in all of the major countries around the world, and no way we're going to be leaving a very critical and important place like Iraq. Either they'll stage something or they'll do something. But let me tell you a new article. It just came out by AFP. It says that Obama actually is extending sanctions against Iran. That news story is going to be on our website in a couple of minutes. So he's actually keeping with the same policies as George W. Bush against Iran. No surprise there.
No, none at all. In fact, there's another story out of Reuters right now, or Routers, or whatever you want to say. You know, I'm getting a lot of flack for not pronouncing the news agency correctly. Here comes Hoosh. Reuters? Reuters? I feel like that's like Roto-Rooters. Anyway, they're reporting drone attacks in Pakistan. And, you know, we've been doing that for a while, but they're publicizing it more because they're trying to put, like, some kind of civil unrest in Pakistan. We just had those cricket inside job attacks. They definitely looked like, first of all, in those cricket attacks, the police got a warning the day before where it was going to happen, when it was going to happen, and who was going to do it. Okay, then everybody got away. Everybody got away, rather lackadaisically. Okay, and then they didn't kill any of the cricket players. They killed some of the police officers, not that they weren't trying. But then they moved on, and then they picked up a bunch of people the next day who had nothing to do with it. And yet, there's not anybody being charged with this yet. You know, and then you look at the Mumbai attacks, and they trace the guy's cell phones back to Italy and the United States. You know, of course, they're creating civil unrest there so they have an excuse to put U.S. and NATO forces into Pakistan and have an even greater influence there because that's the part of the region that they need to stabilize. They love what China's doing. They'll deal with Russia when they have to after they've taken over the Middle East. I mean, this is truly a new world order, folks. We're going to take your calls in the next segment. The call-in line is 866-582, I think it's 9933? 9933? Yeah. It's 866-582-9933. Luke, you know, I'm calling. We had a caller call in earlier. You know, how do we do this? How do we get together? Can't we set a date? I'm saying July 4th this year. We should really try to get out massive info bombs all across the country. Let's take back, you know, Independence Day. Let's start handing out videos. Let's Infowars.com everywhere, PrisonPlanet.com, WeAreChange.org everywhere, and really make this the activist day of the Patriots this year, my friend.
I like that idea, actually. You know, we shouldn't wait for any day. We should do it every day. But in the meantime, we should plan something big. And I think July 4th, all over the country, just like the Fed did by their Federal Reserves, we could do it in every major town and city. And we could give out free information, educate people, and reach out to the people. I think it'll be a great mobilization effort.
We're calling for it here at the Info Warrior, my friend. We're saying it. July 4th, Independence Day. Big-time info bombs. We're going to be back with Luke Rudkowski taking your calls, 866-582-9933, PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com. Final segment with Luke Rudkowski, founding member of WeAreChange.org. Started in New York City, went worldwide. And, I mean, there's We Are Change Ireland, who's went after Peter Powers. There's Luke himself, who got... You know, everybody from Z-Big to David Rockefeller, really most of the minions. You know, We Are Change California, also going after people like Bill Maher. Nobody's safe, Luke, and if they want to start a chapter, they can email Dan at wearechange.org.
Yep, Dan at wearechange.org. We'll try to help you as much as we can. We're going to organize you guys. We're going to have conference calls. We have so many projects. It's not even funny, man. Get involved. We need help. Get involved. We need all the help we could get, especially in New York City. We're working on so many great things that we're going to have out there that are going to shock people when we come out with them.
Yeah, exactly. You know, a lot of people are always like, what can I do? How can I help? There's a lot of ways when you have the will to do so, you know. Don't wait for commands from headquarters. Make your own. You know, make your own destiny. You guys can help on a level that you don't even understand. Listen, I used to be the guy sitting down watching documentaries, listening to radio shows. Now I'm the guy doing radio shows and making documentaries. It's not that difficult. I mean, it really, if you believe in yourself, if you take the time to research this stuff, if you want to make a positive impact, if you're out there because you know this is life and death, this is about the survival of humanity and everything that's good, you too can make a difference. But you have to make that decision. You can't just sit back and go, how do I help? How do I help? There's a million ways out there to help, and Luke is here to tell you how to do it. Luke, it's just unbelievable how much. I mean, how old is your organization? It's less than 3 years old, is it not?
It's 2 years and a couple months.
2 years and a couple months, and in 2 years and a couple months, like I think you were telling me, you have 80 or 90 chapters that you know of. And again, why don't you just name off some of the places that around the globe